Super Gifted, Chapter 1. Super Genius, Donovan Curtis. The problem with smart people is this. They can be really stupid 95% of the time. To be fair, I've only ever met one actual genius. But when that genius was Noah Youkilis, it counted as a full education on the subject. A little background on Noah. He was the smartest kid by far in Hardcastle, and probably the whole world. We used to go to the academy for scholastic distinction together. Me by mistake, and him because he actually belonged there. Actually, the academy was way too easy for him. Even for the gifted teachers agreed on that. When he had a 200 plus IQ, finding something to challenge you was the biggest challenge of all. For Noah, that challenge was getting himself kicked out of the academy, and he succeeded with flying colors. I wasn't smart enough to understand why Noah was so dead set on going to a regular middle school, even though he explained it to me a bunch of times. Being a genius isn't hard, he told me earnestly. What's being hard is being normal. He was 100% right about that. No one in the history of Hardcastle Middle School had ever been less normal than Noah Youkilis. He was short and skinny with an eager, highly bent posture that always reminded me of an oversized praying mantis. He was totally thrilled to be there, which instantly separated him from every other kid in the building. Plus, he had a tendency to launch into a lecture at any time on any subject. Face it, he was a wedgie looking for a place to happen. The craziest part was that the world's greatest genius wasn't doing so well in school, where the work was 50 times easier than the last one. He did all the math in his head, so he was always losing points for not showing his work. He wrote his essay on the Canterbury Tales in Middle English and lost 78% for spelling errors. His programming skills were so advanced that none of the school's computer could handle his coding. In Hardcastle, most of the good equipment went to the academy, not to this dump. All the teachers here knew about Noah. That was nothing that he did with technology ever worked. Noah, this is stupid, I told him. You're getting C's in school where nobody's qualified to carry your pencil case. He was starry-eyed. Isn't that great? No, it's not great. It's not even good. And the academy, you never sank as low as a 99. Now you've barely cracked 70. I'm average, he said blissfully. You're not even average for a genius, I shot back. He looked wounded. Do you know what it's like to be right all the time? My brother-in-law lives with us, I informed him. I'm not right any of the time. That was my first lieutenant, Bradley Patterson, United States Marine Corps. More later on him. It's terrible, Noah said emotionally. You know the answer before anybody finishes asking the questions. You can't enjoy a movie because you can't predict the ending during the opening credits. If it wasn't for YouTube, there'd be no surprise in my life ever. You're insane, I muttered. His narrow praying mantis shoulders hunched. And I knew you were going to say that. Well, you make it worse than it has to be, I accused. You go out of your way to pick classes you're going to be bad at. Why'd you have to sign up for wood shop? He drew himself up to his 4'11". I reject your theory that I'm bad at it. My salad bowl was a mathematical masterpiece, geometrically circular with sides that rose to parabolic perfection. So how come you got a D? There's nothing wrong with a D, he argued. It's my first D. I love it. Daniel Sanderson said you hooked it onto the lathe wrong and got launched through the wood shop window. By the time they tracked it down in the parking lot, it wasn't parabolic anything. It was toothpicks. It's what education's all about, I reasoned. To you, a D means bad. To me, it means I have something to work toward. Like a bowl that's in 100 pieces instead of 900, I put sourly. I never had that before, he explained. It's empowering. Just the thought that my work tomorrow or next week or next month might be better than my work today, that I can practice and show improvement. It makes it worth getting out of bed in the morning. I sort of understood, I guess. If you aced everything on the first try, you had nowhere to go but down. And Noah never even did that. He just stayed perfect. Until he launched in a school that didn't have a category for him. I had to admit he was happy, though. Who was I to take that away from him? So I assumed the next most important job, seeing to it that he didn't end up stuffed into a locker or hanging from a fence post by the waistband of his underwear. Hardcastle Middle School had a way of dealing with dweebs. All middle schools did, I guess. And a kid like Noah, the size of a fourth grader, insect-like posture, and a grating voice, rocket scientist vocabulary, well, he had a real bullseye painted across his chest. Or he would have if he had a chest. To help me protect Noah, I enlisted my friends, two Daniels, Daniel Sanderson and Daniel Nussbaum. They, like Noah, they thought he was entertaining anyways. At least recruiting them as bodyguards reduced the number of potential bullies by 2. 3 days a week, Noah and I rode the minibus to the Academy for Scholastic Distinction for robotics class. Believe it or not, the robotics team needed me almost as much as I needed Noah. Our latest robot, Heavy Metal, was operated via joystick, and I was the only team member who played enough video games to be good with a controller. The usual crowd swarmed Heavy Metal. Chloe Garfinkel was oiling his mechanism wheels, which had been squeaking. Jerry Helleran was adding fluid to the hydraulic system of lifting arms. Noah and Abigail Lee were hunched over the tethered laptops, pounding out computer codes of his operating system. Latrell Mitchelson was polishing the stainless steel body with Windex. And then, of course, there was Oz, Mr. Osborne, our robotics coach, making sure everybody in the lab was completely devoted to the care and well-being of Heavy Metal. We were the servants feeding him grapes, cooling his computer chips by waving palm fronds over him like he was some ancient pharaoh. It hit me. I was actually jealous of a robot. Sure, he was just a bucket of bolts and circuit boards, but he had the life. All he had to do was stand around while the smartest kids in the academy agonized over how to make him better and stronger and faster than he already was. My life? A little different. For starters, my house, which was jam-packed these days. Brad, my sister's husband, was home between tours of duty in the Marine Corps. But since he was redeploying in a few months, there was no point in them getting their own place. So picture a smallish 3-bedroom cape with my parents, me, my sister Katie Patterson, her 6'4" husband, their tiny baby Tina, aged 2 months, Brad's dog Beatrice, and one more dog, Kandahar, all living in it. Kandahar was actually one of Beatrice's puppies. We had managed to unload all the others, but Brad had made us keep one. Now he was a dad and wanted to be a grandfather too. Get the picture? We had to walk sideways when we passed each other in the hall if we all got home at the same time. It practically took a shoehorn to get us in the front door. Brad was tank commander, a mutton specialist, and grandmaster of making my life miserable. He was an officer and used to barking orders and having people hop to it. Katie didn't mind. She was thrilled to have him back. Mom and Dad were fine with it because he wasn't barking at them, and there was no babies in the Marines, but that didn't stop Brad from trying to put Tina on the military schedule he had up on the fridge. 0600, Reverie. 6:05, diaper changing number 1. 6:15, morning feeding. 6:40, burping. 6:45, satisfactory burp produced. 7 o'clock, playtime, educational toys. 7:30, initiate cleanup song. 8:15, diaper change number 2. Execute solid waste contingency if necessary. 10:15, commence nap time sequence. Get the picture? Well, the very next day, Tina screamed for 2 solid hours, barfed all over her crib sheet, and blew through her diaper changes 1 through 6, all before revelry. At breakfast, Brad kept gazing longingly at the refrigerator door through his bloodshot eyes, with dark circles under them. He was looking for the schedule as if he couldn't believe it had let him down. You know, Brad, I commented, Tina isn't in the military. Maybe General Patton raised this kid on a timetable like that, but Tina had other plans. He glared at me. When's the last time you had a haircut? Brad seemed obsessed with the last time I did a lot of things. The last time I did 10 push-ups, the last time I tucked my shirt in, the last time I used the word sir. When's the last time you gave somebody a break? I shot back. I owe it to the men under my command to be hard on them, Brad lectured. It could save their lives one day. The greatest gift you can ever give anyone is high expectations. I had high expectations for him, too. I expected him to leave me alone, but nobody ever called it a gift. It was more like a pipe dream. The worst part was that Mom, Dad, and Katie, my family, just sat there eating breakfast while Brad, who wasn't even really related, listed all my faults, one by one. So, that's how it's going to be, I asked. Tina's too young to enlist anything more military than gymboree, so all Brad's commander instincts get switched to me. Katie yawned. 2 hours sleep did that to a new mother. Come on, Donnie. Brad may be tough on you, but he does it out of love. Well, why can't Brad love somebody else for a change? I mumbled. Apparently, Brad had plenty of love to go around. He seemed to believe I was some kind of caterpillar, and enough hours of the days or weeks or months of boot camp would transform me into a beautiful butterfly. Brad had a military buzz cut and kept threatening to sneak into my room while I was sleeping and buzz me too. He exercised 24 hours a day and wanted me to do the same. Every morning when Tina woke him and Katie up at the crack of dawn, he'd come into my room in jogging shorts. Will I see you on the track this morning? I would mumble, it's possible. And just like that, for example, whales might start doing Sudoku, and the moon might fall out of the sky, eradicating all life on Earth. It was possible, but I wouldn't count on it.